a Mafia boss who never let anyone touch him until a shootout shoves a courageous baker into his world. He takes her to a fortress for one night of safety, and what he does that night changes everything. But the city isn't quiet. A bounty drops with her face on it. A bomb wipes out her shop, and inside his own house, a traitor is smiling. He swore control for 30 years. Now he'll break every rule for her, while snipers, kidnappers, and family betrayal close in. She's smarter than they think, he's more dangerous than they fear, and together they might rewrite the code, or die trying. So when the trap snaps shut before dawn, will his first night of surrender save the woman he can't let go, or start a war that ends them both? The rain hammers against the bulletproof glass as Nina stares at her phone, her fingers trembling around its edges. The threat to her bakery, her whole life's work, glows mockingly on the screen. Her throat tightens, but she refuses to let the tears fall. 48 hours, Max states again, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. He sits beside her in the town car, his presence both threatening and oddly reassuring. The graze on his bicep has barely bled through his tailored jacket, a testament to his inhuman control. Nina's mind races to her staff, her responsibilities. I need to call Priya and Luis. They're still at the bakery. Already handled. Max's driver, Oleg, speaks from the front seat. His eyes meet hers briefly in the rearview mirror. Your staff has been informed of a temporary closure. Security teams are in position. The efficiency of their response unsettles her. Nina shifts in her seat, the full skirt of her chef's whites crinkling. The spun sugar flowers she'd spent hours crafting seem like a distant dream now. And I'm just supposed to trust you, after what I saw in that exhibition hall? Max turns to face her fully. Under the passing streetlights, his features are carved in shadow and sharp angles. What you saw was justice served with mercy. The alternative would have been messier. Mercy? Nina lets out a hollow laugh. Is that what you call having armed men corner someone in a museum? I call it business. His tone remains level, but something dangerous flickers in his eyes. The same business that's now threatening your bakery. The choice is simple: 48 hours of protection, or risk everything you've built. Nina's phone buzzes again. Her heart leaps into her throat, but it's just Priya. Shop secured. Luis and I heading home. Stay safe, boss lady. The reality of her situation crashes down. She's trapped in a car with a man who executes people at charity galas, being driven God knows where, while unknown threats circle her bakery like sharks. And yet, he'd taken a bullet for her, tackled her to safety without hesitation. Fine, she says finally. 48 hours, but I have conditions. A ghost of amusement crosses Max's face. You're not exactly in a position to negotiate. I'm always in a position to negotiate. Nina straightens her spine, channeling the same strength she uses to handle difficult clients. First, I need to know where we're going. Second, I want hourly updates about my bakery. Third, I need my phone. My estate in Upper Manhattan, Max answers smoothly. Updates will come through Oleg. Your phone stays with you, but on airplane mode. Non-negotiable. The car glides through the rain-slicked streets, passing from the familiar territory of downtown into the exclusive uptown neighborhoods. Nina watches her city blur past, trying to memorize street names and landmarks. Your housekeeper, Galina, has prepared a room, Max continues. She'll provide anything you need. Except freedom to leave? Consider it a forced vacation. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. One that keeps you breathing. Nina's retort dies in her throat as the car turns through massive iron gates. They're at least 15 feet high, topped with elegant but lethal-looking spikes. The estate beyond is a stunning fusion of old-world architecture and modern security. She spots discrete cameras, motion sensors, and what looks like a reinforced perimeter wall through the rain. The car circles a fountain and stops at the front entrance. Before Oleg can exit, Max's phone chirps. His expression darkens as he reads the message. Dima confirms our intel, he says to Oleg. The leak came from inside. Start the protocols. Nina catches the meaningful look between them. What protocols? Nothing that concerns you. Max exits the car and opens her door, offering his hand. The rain has lessened to a fine mist, cool against her flushed skin. Your safety is my only priority right now. She ignores his hand and steps out herself, taking in the imposing facade of his home. Why? Because I'm a witness, or because you actually care. Because I have a code. He guides her toward the entrance with a light touch at her lower back. And because you handled yourself well back there, most people would have screamed or run when the shooting started. I've worked enough wedding seasons to know panic doesn't help anything. Nina follows him up the steps, noting how he positions himself between her and the shadows of the garden. Besides, I was more worried about my croquembouche surviving than the gunfire. A genuine chuckle escapes him, the sound so unexpected it makes her pause. In that moment, with rain dampening his perfectly styled hair and his guard slightly lowered, he looks almost human. The front door opens before they reach it. Galina, a silver-haired woman with kind eyes and practical clothes, ushers them inside. The warmth and soft lighting wrap around Nina like a blanket, a stark contrast to the violent night she's leaving behind. "Your room is ready, dear," Galina says, already reaching for Nina's wet apron. "And I've laid out some fresh clothes. Perhaps a hot tea while you settle? In?" The normality of it, this pocket of domestic calm in the eye of the storm, makes Nina's head spin. She's standing in the home of a man who hours ago had a gun to someone's head, being offered tea by his housekeeper, like some bizarre bed and breakfast arrangement. The digital display in Max's car reads 11:30 p.m. when they pull into an underground garage beneath a sleek Tribeca high-rise. Nina's trained eye catches every detail. Cameras tracking their movement, red dots of motion sensors, the heavy security presence. The garage itself speaks of money and discretion, all polished concrete and subtle lighting. "Welcome to your temporary sanctuary," Max says, guiding her to a private elevator tucked away from the main bank. He enters a code, then places his palm against a glossy black scanner. The doors whisper open. Inside the elevator, Nina leans against the brushed steel wall, exhaustion starting to creep in. Her feet ache from hours in kitchen clogs, and dried sugar sticks to her sleeve where the piping bag exploded. "Ground rules," Max states as they ascend. "You can call Priya, tell her you're staying with a friend. You'll have a secure guest suite with everything you need. Once we verify the threat is neutralized, you're free to go." Nina eyes the growing bloodstain on his sleeve. "First rule, you let me clean that graze." His eyebrow lifts slightly. "It's nothing. It's an open wound, and you got it protecting me. Don't argue." The elevator opens directly into the penthouse, a stunning expanse of glass and slate with views of the glittering city. Max leads her to a guest bathroom that's bigger than her apartment's kitchen. The first aid kit he produces is professional grade. Nina works efficiently, washing the graze with gentle hands. This close, she catches his scent, expensive cologne underlaid with gunpowder and rain. His muscle tenses under her touch as she applies butterfly tape, but his face remains impassive. "There," she says, stepping back. "Try not to get shot again." "I'll do my best." His voice holds a hint of dry humor. At 11:55 p.m., Nina pulls out her phone. Priya answers on the first ring. "Boss, you okay?" "I'm fine," Nina assures her, aware of Max's presence just outside the door. "Staying with a friend tonight. Close up at midnight, okay? I'll text in the morning." She sends a quick text to Luis next. "Van locked up tight?" His response is immediate. "Triple-checked, boss. All secure." The elevator chimes and Galina emerges carrying a tray of tea and what looks like silk pajamas. She's followed by Oleg, who immediately begins discussing security rotations with Max in rapid-fire Russian. "Come, dear," Galina says warmly. "Let's get you settled." The guest suite is a haven of cream and gray, with a bed that looks cloud-soft and floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city spread out below. Max appears in the doorway as Galina sets down the tea. "Panic button here," he demonstrates, pressing a discreet panel by the bed. "I'll be in my office down the hall if you need anything." Time stretches like taffy. Nina sips the chamomile tea Galina left, changes into the borrowed pajamas, and tries not to think about the surreal turn her evening has taken. The clock crawls past midnight, past 12:30 a.m. The only sound is the quiet hum of the climate control system. At 12:47 a.m., her phone buzzes. The unknown number again. This time it's a photo that makes her blood freeze, herself in the gala corridor, caught in profile as she worked on the croquembouche. The timestamp shows it was taken hours before everything went wrong. Her bare feet are silent on the hardwood as she pads into the living area at 12:50 a.m. She doesn't need to search for Max. He's already there, a dark silhouette against the window wall. City lights paint him in shades of gold and shadow. "You need to see this," she starts, but he cuts her off with a raised hand. He's on the phone, speaking in low, clipped tones. "Confirmed," he asks someone. Send the location data to Oleg. He ends the call and turns to her. The text ping traces to a rival Familia cell. We've identified the source. How did you know I got another message? Because I have eyes everywhere. He moves closer, and Nina forces herself not to step back. We lock down until morning. You make it sound so simple. It is simple. You stay here, behind security. I handle the threat. While I what? Sit here and drink tea. While you stay alive. His voice carries an edge of steel. These people don't play games, Nina. They're sending a message, to me, through you, that makes you valuable, which makes you vulnerable. The weight of the situation settles over her like a heavy blanket. Outside, the city glitters innocently, hiding its dangers behind neon and shadow. Inside, she's standing in borrowed silk pajamas, discussing rival mob threats with a man who kills people at charity events. Fine, she says finally. But I want updates. Real ones, not just everything's fine platitudes. Agreed. He studies her face for a moment. You're handling this well. I run a business in New York City. Adaptation is survival. Indeed. He gestures toward the kitchen. Hungry, Galina always stocks the fridge. The casual offer of food at almost 1 a.m. strikes Nina as absurdly normal. Are midnight snacks standard procedure during lockdowns? No, but neither is having a witness who helps patch up bullet wounds. The corner of his mouth ticks up slightly. I find myself improvising. The admission, small as it is, feels significant. This dangerous man, this killer in an expensive suit, is adapting to her presence, to this situation, to the unexpected variables she represents. The kitchen gleams with chrome and marble at 1:10 a.m. as Nina fills a glass at the filtered tap. Max appears like a shadow, moving with predatory grace to the professional coffee maker. His hands are steady as he measures beans, no tremor, betraying the night's violence. Do you ever sleep? She asks, watching him work. When necessary. He doesn't look up from the precise movements of grinding beans. Let me guess. Sleep is inefficient, another variable to control. Now he does look at her, one brow raised. You have opinions about my control issues? Please, you probably alphabetize your ammunition. Nina takes a long drink of water, noticing how his gaze tracks the movement of her throat. Everything about this place screams control freak. The security, the pristine surfaces, the way you measure coffee like it's explosive material. And you're what? Chaos incarnate? The coffee maker hisses as he starts the brew cycle. The woman who weighs flour to the gram and times her sugar work with military precision. That's different. That's chemistry. Everything is chemistry. His eyes flick to her bandaged fingers, where a sugar burn from earlier marks her skill. Including the way you deliberately provoke me. Maybe I just don't like being managed. You're not being managed. You're being protected. Same difference in your world, isn't it? He moves closer, invading her space with his height and heat. You have no idea about my world. I know enough. Nina refuses to step back. I know you kill people at charity events and probably have a spreadsheet tracking your body count. And yet here you are, drinking my water and critiquing my coffee habits. His voice holds an edge of amusement. You're a menace with frosting, Nina Kovac. The use of her full name sends a shiver down her spine. Better than being a control freak with a gun. Something shifts in his expression, a crack in the perfect facade. He reaches for her injured hand, turning it palm up with surprising gentleness. Control keeps people alive. Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I learned at 15. His thumb traces the edge of her bandage, the touch feather-light. When I made a vow to never lose control like my father did. The admission hangs in the air between them. Nina studies his face, reading the truth there. That's why you don't, why I'm a virgin. He states it without shame or hesitation. Yes, sex is surrender. I don't surrender. The revelation reframes everything about him. The rigid control, the careful distance, the way he touches her like she's made of spun sugar. It's not inexperience that holds him back. It's choice. Power. Your father, she starts carefully, was a brutal man who treated women like weapons to be used. Max's hand still cradles hers, thumb moving in slow circles that make her pulse jump. I chose a different path. Nina watches his face as he studies her bandaged fingers. His focus is absolute, hungry in its intensity. A flush colors his cheeks when he realizes she's caught him staring at her mouth, and he looks away. "You're not what I expected," she admits. "Neither are you." He releases her hand reluctantly. "I don't usually talk this much. Trust this easily." The coffee maker beeps, breaking the moment. Before Max can move, Oleg appears in the doorway, face grim. "The phones were burners," he reports. "Triangulated 2 blocks from her bakery. Team 3 is sweeping the area now." Max's expression hardens. "Surveillance footage." Processing. The timing suggests they were watching the shop before the gala. Nina's stomach clenches. "My staff are safe," Max assures her. "We have eyes on them." The next hour passes in a blur of security updates and contingency plans. By 2:20 a.m., exhaustion hits Nina like a wave. "You need sleep," Max says, watching her stifle another yawn. "So do you." "I'll take the sofa. The guest suite is secure. This whole place is secure. That's your thing, remember?" He almost smiles. "Sleep, Nina. Tomorrow will be complicated enough." She's barely settled into the cloud-soft bed when the red dot appears. It's so small, so innocent-looking as it dances across her chest. Her tired brain takes precious seconds to process what it means. Max doesn't hesitate. He tackles her off the bed as the suppressed shot punches through the window with a deadly thunk. Glass sprays across the floor as they roll behind the solid wall. "Oleg!" Max's voice booms through the apartment. "Counter-sniper protocol now!" His body covers hers completely, shielding her from another shot that embeds itself in the wall above them. Nina feels his heart hammering against her chest, his breath hot on her neck. "Stay down," he orders, then speaks rapidly into a comm unit on his wrist. "Target building northwest, approximately 800 meters. I want that shooter." Nina clutches his shirt, feeling the coiled strength of him. "How did they?" "Thermal imaging, probably."